Today I messed up by letting the cat get my wife pregnant. Technically this happened about 3 weeks ago since the test just came back positive. Some background: last year my wife and I had our first child. It was a less than ideal pregnancy that had her dealing with weeks of bed rest due to preeclampsia with severe features. It wreaked total havoc on not only her physical health but her mental health as well. Fortunately everything was all right in the end and she gave birth to our healthy 4 pounds 2 ounces boy just shy of 2 months early, who's doing fantastic now. Due to the difficulty of this first pregnancy and concerns over COVID, we decided it was best to put off kid number 2 for at least a couple of years. She started birth control shortly after giving birth to be sure we had no surprises, but the pill tends to make her very sick and she wanted to lose weight, so she stopped taking it. We thought rubbers would be enough, but that's where our cat comes in. Our cat is an evil genius. I seriously think the greasy orange little shit is still smarter than our nearly 1-year-old. He gets into everything, and I do mean everything. No door, drawer, or cabinet can stop him, and if he knows where something he wants is, he will find it. It's so bad that for weeks after adopting him I thought there was poltergeist in the house because each morning I'd wake up to find every single cabinet door in the kitchen wide open. So how did I screw up and let him impregnate my wife? Well, my first screw up was storing the condoms in the same drawer as the Q-tips, which he loves to get into and shred apart. He must have seen the box of Q-tips in the drawer when I put my rubbers away, because not even an hour later I stumbled upon a horrific scene of chewed plastic straws, shredded cotton fluff and shiny gold condom wrappers scattered around the gaping drawer that once contained them. I didn't think anything of it at the time and just cleaned up the destroyed Q-tips and put the condoms that had spilled everywhere back into their box without a concern in the world. We ended up having some sexy time later that night, and I vividly remember stumbling into the dark bathroom, opening said drawer, and blindly fumbling around in the box to pull out a condom, as was the routine, thinking nothing of what happened earlier. That is until fast forward a few weeks to just the other day, when my wife was complaining of nausea and tender breast. We immediately shoot each a concerned glance as this ain't our first rodeo, and she felt the same way before discovering her first pregnancy. She still had a half-empty box of tests from the year before and decided to take one just to be sure. Followed by another one. And another one. All positive. We start racking our brains wondering what happened when suddenly it hits me. That damn cat. I ran over to bathroom drawer where I kept the condoms, dumped out the box on the counter and started to inspect each miserable little full square. Sure enough, several had noticeable scratches, teeth marks, and even full-blown punctures in them. Which leads me to screw up number 2, not checking to see if the cat chewed on any of my rubbers weeks before when he had gotten into that drawer. Can't wait to explain to my new son or daughter one day that they owe their existence to the family cat. Too long. Didn't read. I didn't check to see if my cat had chewed on any of my condoms when he got into the drawer I kept them in. 3 weeks later, and despite our plans to the contrary, my wife is pregnant, presumably thanks to my asshole cat who gets into everything. Today I messed up and had to teabag a bucket of milk. Look, I know what the title sounds like. I'm not a big Reddit person, but after recently telling my boyfriend this story he demanded I post it here. I, 19, female, am a giant fan of spicy food, to a point where when I cook it's mostly inedible for other people. This story takes place when I was 14. I was cooking for myself and chopped up some ghost peppers to add to my food, and added more chili peppers to what I was cooking. I forgot to wash my hands after I finished cooking. Later that night I decided to have some fun on my own, and you can imagine the rest of the story. Obviously I panicked and had no idea what to do. My vagina was burning and I was so upset I rubbed my eyes so they were burning too. The only thing I could think of was milk helps spicy food. So I went downstairs to get a small bucket, while crying and panicking, and grabbed milk from the fridge, and spent the next 30 or so minutes sitting in milk in my bathroom googling if I had somehow scarred myself for life, plus occasionally rubbing milk from another smaller bowl in my eyes because it actually helped. Too long. Didn't read. I chopped up chili peppers, forgot to wash my hands, decided to jerk off, and ended up sitting in a bowl of milk because it burned. Edit, my boyfriend has seen this post, and is now obsessed with the nicknames you guys have come up with as a female version of a tea bag. I don't think I'll live this down with him. Today I messed up by crying in front of my 7-year-old sis. Was checking her iPad for some homework and came across a Google Slide document she made that had "I really hate myself very madly, I'm a donkey," and I was baffled, so I sat her down and asked her to explain why she wrote what she did. So a few days prior she forgot a jacket of hers at school and it got stolen. This was the third time she had lost something within the span of a week, so my mom gave her a well-deserved speech about responsibilities and consequences of being careless. That's all she did, but that was enough to send my sis on an emotional trip where she wrote this document. I told her she was being too hard on herself and that her hating herself is the last thing I want for her. She asked why and I said, "When you hurt, I hurt too," to which she responded, "But if I never existed you wouldn't feel bad and you would be happy instead." This just cut me deep and my 22-year-old grown ass started crying. In response she started crying too. Made her promise to talk to me if she ever feels this way again, but she probably won't since this is the only time she's ever seen me cry and she'll probably want to avoid doing it again. Too long. Didn't read. Cried in front of a kid. Edit. Thank you for the supportive responses. Gotta say, never thought I'd see this side of Reddit. I've had a talk with my sis a bit more just so she knows how loved and valued she is. I'll try to be a better listener and do as much as I can to make sure she never feels this way again.